Not seeing anything. I'll look for motion from council to accept amendments to the agenda.
Motion, Your Worship.
Councillor Butcher, thank you. Discussion? Call that question. All in favor? No opposition? Motion from council to accept the amended agenda.
I'll make that motion, Your Worship, to accept the amended agenda.
Thank you. So that includes 14.1.4 and 14.1.5. Discussion? Not seeing any. I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Public input. Public input tonight? Not seeing any. No delegations, but we do have a presentation. And golf tournament proceeds, check presentation. And we have a large chunk of plastic to hand out. And I'll get Charity, do you want to come up? Charity Mellick is our supervisor manager over at Pembina Place and the lead in our Mayor's Golf Tournament subcommittee. So we have some money to hand out to you ladies. Come on up here. Tuck you behind. Sneak in behind.
Behind, sorry.
Okay.
Actually, how about you?
Yeah,
There.
There we go.
that's the behind.
That's the,
Just as a recap, while the pictures are being taken, the golf tournament is the only way that we can raise funds other than through taxation that can be used for some of our grant programs and that sort of thing. And this year we had a very successful tournament. So that means you ladies should be looking at about $10,403.32 in the short near future.
Appreciate it. The kids appreciate it.
yes.
Good.
Keep them off the streets first.
All right. Perfect. Talk right now. If we have just 2 seconds, because we're doing
Oh, look at that.
reset. So I'll introduce you ladies to Councillor Butcher, Councillor Melnick, Councillor Williams,
Branch 251.
Councillor Spicer, and Councillor Cosby.
Pleasure.
Hiding behind us is
Mr. Olson?
Councillor Olson. And thank you for all you do in the community with respect to helping our young ones with their development and their practicing and their presentations. I understand they're doing good.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just sneak around now. And then I'd like to call the president of Redwater Legion Branch 251 to the front. Hi, I'm Dave McRae.
Hi, Rob Olson. How you doing?
Meet you.
Hi, how are you?
All right. So we have here the other half of the funds that we raised. Again, a very successful tournament. And each year we decide on 2 not-for-profits to split the proceeds after we have removed money out of that purse for our scholarship fund. So congratulations on being chosen this year, and I understand
It's
this
spent.
is, yeah, but I understand that the Legion has a very strong program in place for development and improvement, and congratulations on doing that as well.
Thank you very much. This will be well worth it.
Great.
Was I smiling? Were my eyes open?
And I'd like to introduce you to council.
Gotta go back into the phone booth.
Always be yourself.
Just as we're getting ready to proceed further with the agenda, I just want to make a comment to Ms. Melnick as she's running out the door, and Mr. Davison, her direct supervisor. This does not happen without your input, your help, your staff's input and help. And as you can see tonight, there's two worthwhile charities. I didn't ask earlier, but if my memory is correct from the spring when we were holding the golf tournament and that sort of thing, we've raised over $115,000 in the years that we've used this tournament to supplement things around town. And I think we've touched, did we say 14 or 16 not-for-profits?
I'm trying to remember the exact number exactly, yeah.
Over the number of years that we've done this. And again, without your support and your staff support, it doesn't happen. So thank you for that. Great. Agenda item 8.1, minutes of September 16th, regular council meeting. Councillor Melnick?
I'll make the motion to adopt the minutes from September 16, 2025, regular council meeting.
Thank you. Discussion from council. Errors or omissions? Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? Thank you. That's carried. 8.2 is a special council meeting of September 23rd. Councillor Olson?
Motion, we accept the minutes from the September 23rd, 2025 special council meeting as circulated.
Thank you. Discussion. Errors or omissions? Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried as well. 8.3 takes us to the Committee of the Whole meeting on September 23rd, 2025, and the minutes thereof. Councillor Cosby?
I'll move that the minutes of September 23rd, 2025, Committee of the Whole meeting be adopted and circulated.
Thank you. Discussion, errors or omissions? I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Any business arising out of the minutes or unfinished business from administration?
Mr. Mayor, members of council, there is one outstanding item that is not on the agenda. We'll have the question answered at the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Okay, thank you. Anything under bylaws? New business, 11.1. The RFD for the PUL license agreement with Secure Energy, and I believe, Mr. Van Buell, we're in your hands for that one.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So if we remember about a year ago, maybe a little less than a year ago, Secure Energy came forward asking to enter into a license agreement to access a PUL in order that they could access a laydown yard without using the road right away. Back in 2024, that request was approved by council with administration's recommendation for a one-year term at a cost of $1,000 for the license agreement to Secure Energy. We have recently been contacted by Secure Energy. Their project is a little bit behind, and so they would like an extension on the agreement. Unfortunately, the way we worded the agreement, there was no opportunity for an extension, and so that's why it's back in front of council again this year. Normally, if there was an extension provision in the agreement, we could deal with it administratively. But without that specific language in the agreement, it needs to come back in front of council. So what we're asking council is to enter into a license agreement with Secure Energy for the use of Lot 19 PUL Block 1 Plan 8122910 in accordance with the terms and conditions outlined in the attached license agreement. I will point out that the one change we did was we added a clause so that we can, if something
Necessary.
happens, that we can administratively, we can go forward and add a 1 year onto the license. So that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you. Council? Councillor Spicer.
I'll move that council direct administration to enter into the license agreement with Secure Energy for the use of Lot 19 PUL Block 1 Plan 8122910 in accordance with the terms and conditions outlined in the attached license agreement.
Discussion from council? Questions? Just too quick on my behalf. In your RFD, you indicate, maybe I'll start the other way. Mr. Davison, the purpose of the agreement was to keep traffic off of our road in the industrial park, which is gravel, subject to water and everything, snow and everything else. Did we find this beneficial in the long term? Because I know they've moved an awful lot of equipment back and forth from the one yard to the other.
Yeah, you know, I think it was at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that road takes a kicking
It does at the best of times.
at the best of times. So if we had a lot of traffic, especially some of those big buildings and stuff that are in there, have been moved in. And
Yeah,
back and
absolutely.
forth a couple times. So.
Yeah, it's you know, as you know, that road is easily affected, especially if we've had the weather that we got over the summer, and we don't calcium that road as a rule, so it's a little soft sometimes. If you calcium it, it does firm it up, but it also makes it a little more difficult to deal with potholes. But yeah, I think it's beneficial.
And I know this is a situation that is with, I think it was Pembina and ATCO, Pembina and Conifer. Do we know for sure that those are crossing agreements are in vogue? I believe they are, but it's actually Conifer and Pembina that have to challenge the crossing of their lines. But
Yeah, so they do have crossing agreements
good.
in place. But it is up to Secure to make sure that they are following whatever agreements they have for the crossing agreement. That's basically a third-party agreement outside of our direction.
Good. I just wanted to make sure we weren't doing something that was going to cause grief down the road. Anything else from council? Not seeing anything, the motion on the table is to approve the extension. I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. 11.2, an RFD on the snow clearing policy, and I believe we're in your hands, Mr. Davison.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. This will be relatively quick, hopefully. At the end of the day, we were here not too long back. A couple of small, quick changes, as you know, so I won't go through the whole thing. I'll hit a little bit of the background and the discussion. At the September 23rd, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting, additional recommendations were made in relation to the snow clearing policy. We wanted to add a couple of north-south lanes on the P3 back alleys, approved alleys, and a timeline on the snow clearing. Both of those are added, as you can see, in Schedule A and in the policy. Outside of that, that's pretty much the changes. There wasn't a lot else to come out of that. As you know, the rest were in there. So the changes have been affected. I did notice today that one of the clean copies was a copy of the red line copy. I did change that out today. So yeah, that's where we're at with the policy. If you have any questions, I'm absolutely open to answering any of them.
Councillor Cosby.
I'll move that council approve the snow clearing policy 405.06 as circulated.
Discussion by council. I know we had a good go around at this at the committee of the whole. Not seeing any. I was approached today by an individual, and the comment related to the clearing of the downtown core, which is our part of our snow haul route and what have you. The concern primarily dealt with the Pioneer Club and rolling the snow onto the front of their property when we're blading, and the fact that it creates slip and fall hazard, serious slip and fall hazard for them, and that in the past they've had to ask Public Works to come in with a backhoe to clear their ice buildup off of the main highways or walkway because of that. I don't think it needs an amendment to the bylaw or anything. I just want to put it on the plate as a discussion point that came to me today from the Pioneer Club. And the other one I questioned in my mind, and all I'm going to ask is if you can kind of look at it over the winter and decide if there's something down the road, is the, on the Schedule A, we have the alley between 53rd and 54th Avenue, down on the north end of town here, is part of our emergency route. It's between the two sets of houses, and it's the alley. And it's also part of the, on Schedule B, part of the Hall route. So my question, I guess, is if it's first in line to get cleaned, are we hauling right away, or are we plowing and then hauling afterwards?
Generally speaking, it'll be plowed if it's initially, depending on the type of snowfall we get. So if we get a pretty heavy snowfall, it'll be plowed initially just to clear it and make it accessible for everyone moving through, and then after that it should be hauled.
And the reason for my ask is that's an alleyway, and there are quite a few places where there's several cars out the back that kind of protrude into that alleyway. So, but just again, suggesting it's something we monitor over the next snowfall and see what happens.
In relation, thank you for bringing both those up, Mr. Mayor. In relation to the Pioneer Club, we can absolutely make sure that doesn't occur. I'll have a chat to my team and make sure that isn't the case. And in reference to that back alley, we'll keep a close eye on it this winter and just see how we go. And maybe that'll be something that we add in after.
Okay, super. Anything else from council? Anything that's popped? I know we had a good discussion about that back alley on the other side of 48th Avenue, and that seems to be tidied up nicely in the new mapping. Nothing else from council? Call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. 11.3, reserve policy update, and I believe, Ms. Tingley, we're in your hands for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So this was presented during the September 23rd Committee of the Whole meeting. So the purpose of this is to bring it back to update the reserve policy, just to capture some organizational changes and updated policy formatting in addition to the inclusion of some recently established reserves. So just to go back, so we met, the Corporate Services Policy Committee met on August 6th, 2025 to kind of hash out what the updates would look like, and then again it was brought to the last Committee of the Whole meeting. I won't go into detail of the different reserves as we discussed them at length last time, but they're all outlined as they were in the previous meeting. So the only change to this policy following the September 23rd Committee of the Whole meeting can be found on section 5.1 under responsibilities. So this relates to the annual reserve transfers, reallocations, revisions, and new reserves during the annual financial statements. Previously, a resolution was passed to include budgeted reserve transfers in addition to any reserve transfers arising during the year-end process not included in budget or budgeted at an estimate, with actuals providing during this process. So this annual reserve RFD will include these amounts as information only, but the resolution will relate to the balances not previously passed during the annual budget process. So like an example of that would be like the tech reserve is $35,000 and that's a set transfer, so that'll be there as information during the RFD. But other items like the Reimagine Redwater Reserve, where it's budgeted at an estimate, that will require a resolution. So that's just the difference there, the wording.
And I won't go there. Okay. So we're looking for a motion from council. Councilor Melnick?
I'll make the motion move that council approve the proposed changes to reserve policy 322.02 as presented.
Thank you. Discussion, comments from council?
I'm sure you have one there, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I wanted to point out that those two reserves, although we call them dedicated reserves or directed reserves, whatever your terminology might be, they actually have two distinct and separate purposes. Because the one reserve is based on our involvement with our business community. It's not something we financially put forward in our budget process to say this is the amount of money we need in that reserve account. The tech reserve is something that we do look for an actual amount of money going into. We've spoken at this table about, unfortunately, 45 years ago, reserves weren't started to help us with our water projects that we're doing this year and how it would help us and everything else. And Mr. Van Buell and I have had a couple of conversations where the province looks at municipalities and says, you're way too rich. You've got all these reserve monies and you don't spend them. And the reality is, when you're looking at a project that's going to cost you $14 million for our sewer project that's currently on the books, where do you get that type of money right away? So the reserve policy, in my mind, is needed. But at the same time, we have to understand that the reserves are actually different in origin and purpose.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that additional context there. The tech reserve, it's been established for 3 years now, and it's helped us normalize costs like the upgrades to our computers, which are under the threshold for capital assets, so under operating, as well as the security cameras, the technology upgrades we've had that fall under capital. We have a significant upgrade for our data management system, Diamond, and the life is 2029, so that's going to be a significant expense. So instead of having that huge increase in the year that it's incurred, this will help us normalize the expenses and prepare for those significant expenditures.
Anything else from council? I flapped enough. No? Call that question, all in favor? And that's carried. 11.4, the Christmas holiday office hours. And if it'll open on my computer, I believe, Ms. Tingley, that's for you.
You bet. Thanks again, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So, purpose of this RFD to set service levels related to office hours and closures for the 2025 Christmas holiday season, which is wild that we're talking about it because it was just May. So 2 proposed motions on the table. So move that council approve the closing of the office and reduced operating hours from December 22nd through to December 26th inclusive. And move that Wednesday, December 24th, Christmas Eve, be designated council declared statutory holiday for the staff. So from 2022 to 2024, the combination of office closures, the council declared statutory holidays, regular closures like weekends, and the use of vacation, EDO, time in lieu has allowed for, on average, 9 consecutive days off during the holiday season for staff. So administration is requesting that council authorize the office closure from December 22nd to 26th. This will require employees to use 2 days of vacation time or another form of time off, like the earned day off or banked overtime, with council providing an additional paid holiday in the form of the Christmas floater on December 24th. So I provided a calendar there so you can see how that will look for that week. So when I was preparing this RFD, I discussed it with the corporate services team just to make sure that the closure dates had the least impact on our year-end accounting functions, as our fiscal year-end aligns with our calendar year-end. And with January 2nd being the date that we run the tax penalty. So by opening the office still on December 29th to 31st, it allows for us, the staff, to process necessary functions ahead of the January 2nd penalty date. This also gives residents 3 additional days to settle any outstanding utility or tax accounts prior to penalties being assessed as we turn over into the new year and new month. So there's no financial implications, as staff are paid on a salary basis with their annual salaries included in the budget. So there's no additional cost that has not already been included in the operating budget, so really important to highlight. But the internal impact is probably the biggest thing to highlight here. So closing the office during the Christmas holidays has a positive impact on staff morale. It just gives everyone a nice break, time away with their families before they can reset with a busy new year. As in the 2022 to 24 seasons, the 25 holiday office closures are anticipated to have little effect on the community. The conduction of business is usually slower during this period as everyone else is busy with their families too. And essential services will continue to be provided to residents though. That is something to note. And that concludes my RFD.
Thank Thank you.
Mayor, if I could just add, so in addition to our essential services, and Mr. Davison can fill in the details, that means our public works staff are on call. So if there is a snowfall or something happens, there is coverage for that. And in addition, what we do is we'll work with our user groups over at Pembina Place, and we'll figure out what the appropriate timeline is for their closure based on their schedules, and we'll get the staff as much of that break as we possibly can. Generally, that's a slow time. I won't say that there's no use of the facility, because that wouldn't be truthful, but it's certainly a time when, unless there's an event, it's basically drop-in public use, I guess, is probably the best. And again, we'll do our best to ensure that our public has access to the facility during those holiday hours, and we will make sure that our outdoor ice is also available during that time.
Weather permitting.
Well,
I think it was January before you got on it last year, wasn't it?
Thank you. Anything to add, Mr. Davison?
No, I think Mr. Van Buell covered the majority of it. We just want to ensure council that absolutely we'll have essential services up and running, so.
Councillor Olson?
Make a motion that council approve the closing of the office and reduced operating hours for the period of December 22nd through to December 26, 2025 inclusive.
Thank you. Discussion by council. When you talked about financial implications, there is one that attaches itself to the commentary, but it's a positive one for us because starting January the 1st, we're into a new fiscal year. So our audit team will be coming in February, March to do up our audited financial statement. And I know council is aware because we have talked with it at our budget, but anybody who's listening may not be totally aware. But holidays and time in lieu in our staff's bank are actually a liability for the municipality. They're not an asset for the municipality. So by having an opportunity where some staff can buy down their banks and use that on the Monday, Tuesday, 22nd, 23rd, it actually reduces the impact on our audited statement. So that's an important thing to remember, that we are actually helping the bottom line, so to speak, with respect to that. So my 2 cents. Mr. Van Buell?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add to that, and you're absolutely correct, it is something that we carry over, and we have policies around what we can carry over, et cetera, et cetera. The other part of this that, as we've said, it's a slower time of the year, and so those employees who have larger banks are encouraged to add some time off around those fringe areas when it's not as busy. And so even when our office is open, we will keep a skeleton staff, but for those employees who are carrying a larger bank, we really encourage them to, I guess I'll use your term, Mr. Mayor, buy it down, and quite frankly, get the time in, because vacation is just that. It's a reset and it's a recharge, and it's imperative for our staff to find that balance. And carrying big balances of whether it be time off in lieu or vacation just means that you're making you're taking deposits out of your health account, basically, and we want you to put deposits back in.
Anything else from council? Further discussion? Motion on the table to approve the period of December 22nd through the 26th. I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Councillor Butcher, go ahead.
I'll make the next motion, Your Worship. Move that Wednesday, December 24th, 2025 be designated a council declared statutory holiday for the staff.
Thank you. Discussion by council? No? Not seeing any? I'll call that question. All in favor? And And that's carried. We're moving on to 11.5, employment policy update. And again, we're back with you, Ms. Tingley.
I'm monopolizing the meeting here with my hat trick RFD. This one's a lot shorter. So purpose of this RFD is to update section 22 of the employment policy, just to be in compliance with LAPP's employer's pension policy. So they updated their version of, or their employer pension policy back in March of 2025. So following our, we have a pension audit following our financial statement audit. And from there, we send in the audit findings and all of the information to them, and they review it on their end for compliance. So it came back with a deficiency relating to section 22 in our employment policy. So our current employment policy outlines that employees eligible for participation in the pension plan and pensionable service calculations, but it doesn't define salary to be included in pensionable earnings. So the proposed amendment is highlighted in red in the marked up copy. I actually think it might be green, so I apologize for that. It's really, really minor. It's literally one sentence. So the updated policy was forwarded to their compliance department just to confirm that there's no other amendments required. We provided the timeline for completion for the audit deficiency just during the 2025 calendar year, so that's why we're presenting it with you this evening. So once the policy has been approved by council, it's going to be sent to the LAPP Pension Compliance Department for their records, so that we are in compliance. So again, if you look at section 22, the addition has highlighted in green, regular salary for employees that are eligible for participation in the pension plan will be included in pensionable salary. So that is the amendment, and that concludes my RFD.
Thank you. Councillor Cosby?
I move that council approve the proposed changes to section 22 of the employment policy.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Discussion? Not seeing any, I'll call that question. All in favor? That's carried. 11.6, council orientation. Mr. Van Buell.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you very much. So the purpose of this is for council to extend the mandatory orientation training deadline for the incoming council to complete orientation training required under section 201.11B of the Municipal Government Act. So I'll try and make this as simple as I can. There's two sections of orientation for council that is mandatory under the Municipal Government Act. There's section Part A and Part B here, 1 and 2. And what it says is that before or on the same day as the organizational meeting, you must do certain aspects of council's orientation. So Part A is the role of municipalities in Alberta, municipal organization and function, roles and responsibilities of council and councillors, and roles and responsibilities of CAO and staff. So that must be done. You have no option, but that has to be done on, before or on the same day as the organizational meeting. I can tell you that our plan is to have some webinars that the new councillors can look at on their own, sign an affidavit that says you've looked at them and you understand them, and that will cover Part A for our orientation of our new council. We're not just going to rely on that, though. We do have 2 days planned with a consultant to come in to do a very comprehensive orientation with council. However, that covers Part B. And Part B says before or on the same day as the first regularly scheduled council meeting, key municipal plans, policies, projects, budgeting and financial administration, public participation, and any other topic described by the regulations, of which, oh, by the way, the regulations aren't out yet.
As per.
Yeah.
So, those don't sound like, I think to somebody who hasn't been on council before, that doesn't sound like a whole bunch of stuff to go through. But as I'm sure this council can attest to, there's a whole bunch of work in Part B that, quite frankly, our first meeting is going to be, no, Cal meeting counts.
November 6th.
Or something.
November 5th, or no, November 4th.
Yeah.
Our first Cal meeting?
Or first cow?
That's a meeting. Yeah.
Board meeting's the 28th.
Yeah. Right, yeah. And the first regularly scheduled council meeting, of which my interpretation and our legal interpretation is a COW meeting is a regularly scheduled meeting of council. So that means within that first week, you would have to go through all of this. Not
Council.
happening.
Cancel the cow then?
Well, the other option is, and what they allow you to do for Part B is extend the deadline for Part B by 90 days, but council has to do it. Hence the reason for this RFD to extend it for 90 days. And that will allow us to get Part B in and a few other things as well and do a complete orientation of council. So I guess in a nutshell, that's why this is here, and that's what we're asking council to do. It'll be a whole lot easier for the incoming council, I promise.
Councilor Olson?
Make a motion that we extend the deadline for the incoming council to complete the orientation training required under section 201.1, subpara 1, subpara B of the Municipal Government Act to January 26, 2026, as permitted under section 201.1, subpara B2 of the Municipal Government Act.
Discussion.
I don't understand what it said. Do we?
The biggest thing with this is that although there's going to be a wealth of information put in council's craniums about what we're doing here tonight and how we do this and who we do and listen to and that sort of thing, every one of our committees, every one of our emergency response mandates, all of those also come into play, and we'll have 3 months of very intense training for everybody. I know we will. So it's prudent, I think, to have this on our table tonight. I think that's the easiest way to describe it. Overload. So we have the motion on the table to extend under 201.1.2 of the Municipal Government Act. Anything else from council? Not seeing anything, I'll call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Q3 CAO briefing. hang on, 12.1. We're down to council reports. Anything, Councillor Butcher?
Actually, we had a pretty busy weekend on, from the 20th to the 23rd in this community. We had the first fashion show at the Pinewood Club, and even the police were on the walkway. Very well done. Kudos to the Legion for the 75th supper. And yeah, we were busy and everybody had a good time, especially at the fashion show. So they might bring it up into a bigger center next year, like Pembina Place.
Okay, good. Councillor Melnick?
Nothing, Your Worship.
Councillor Williams?
I have nothing to report, but I would like to take this opportunity to say how grateful I am to have been on council with each and every one of you. And that's all I want to say. It's nice.
Councillor Spicer?
Nothing to report at this time.
Councillor Cosby?
Nothing to report this time, Worship.
Councillor Olson, we have your written report.
Presented your.
Just wanted to add in there that we had onto my report, I wanted to add that there was the firefighter appreciation supper that took place at Pembina Place. It was really well attended and looked after, so thank you for that. And I had a couple of questions for Councillor Olson on his Fed gas report.
Have to read it.
They're not very difficult on us.
Okay.
In the report, Alberta Gas, Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops mentioned anniversary milestones for various co-ops. Where is Redwater in that list, do we know?
That, I asked the staff late Emily, the lady that looks after that, to look into it, because I thought we should be, I mean, the town turned 75, I don't know when the gas lines actually started going in, but we should be close to, at least to 75, you know, because I can't remember seeing anything for the 50th either, so.
Okay.
I'll touch base with the Fed Gas again and see where we are.
Also, there was a couple of, they had a section in there of old resolutions and where they were, what they meant and what have you.
Okay. Yeah.
They talked about the franchise fee exemption limit, and then they also talked about the franchise protection. Recently, we sent a letter with regards to an incident south of Red Deer. Has there been any discussion or feedback or determination on that?
I haven't heard anything on our side. I don't know, management side? No?
Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, we haven't heard anything over that one at all.
And then going back to 2023 in their resolutions and stuff, there was a discussion about one member, one vote, and multiple delegates. Was that an issue within the federation that got resolved or got looked after?
That is resolved. It's one member, one vote now. Because it was technically, we were allowed to bring 4 or 5 delegates, I think it was, around 5 that we could have for delegates voting over and above myself, right? Because of the, goes by the amount of risers. And
I thought it was 3, but I could be wrong.
yeah, well, you were so many for the first 500, and then every couple hundred after risers, you were allowed more. So of course, you get look at counties, or like Lac St. Anne County Co-op. You know, one year they brought the 15 they were allowed, because you're maxed out, but now it's one member, one vote. That's it. And that's got to be identified ahead of time.
And the only thing I wanted to add to my report, I said earlier to each of you, I am so proud of the job you all have done here for this last 4 years. We've worked together as a council, and there's many municipalities who can't say that and have spent hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars trying to figure out where their left shoe and their right shoe meet. So thank you to each and one of you for your opinions, your presentations, and your reports. It's very important to our community to have that. And it seems like a long time, or seems like yesterday we had our first meeting, but this being our last scheduled meeting, I want to wish you all well in your campaigns. And for those 2 that have decided to get off the ship, sink or swim, boys. I'll look for a motion to accept reports.
I'll make the motion, Your Worship, to accept reports and present it.
Thank you. Any discussion from council? Call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. 12.2, Mr. Van Buell, we're back in your hands.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, first, this report is for July, September 2025, not 24. I'm only a week late, not a year and a week. Yeah, I think the report right now I could probably summarize in 3 words: winter, election, and budget. Those are the 3 strategic priorities that are on the plate right now. Obviously, the election is right around the corner, as is winter, as is budget. And as every year, those are the last quarter that seems to be our ongoing priorities. I will highlight a couple things in here. One, we continue to work, I continue to work with Ms. Lane on bringing forward the NRED grant proposal for council consideration during the budget. I will say, I think that I don't want to count chickens before they hatch, but I think if we do go forward with that grant, we have a really good opportunity to be successful in the grant and strike one of our priorities off of our to-do list. So I'm really hopeful about that one. We do continue to work on one in particular, residential development opportunities. That is the one that I will update in closed session on, because it is a land matter and has some legalities to it before we go forward. Other than that, I think the big one here is the Oker Park Road intersection upgrade. As far as the results, we had it all set and ready to go. We had it designed, and then, I don't want to say we got a snag, but we got a snag, and it was in the lighting. And so the lighting really threw us back. Quite frankly, it's going to throw us back 8 months. We're not going to be tendering that project until the spring now, simply so that we can get some better pricing. We would have been ready to tender right about now. We would have been ready to construct right about now, which would have put us very tight to snow, and it would have been an add-on project for a company that we believe would have increased the cost. That just wasn't worth it. And with, working with, again, I'll give kudos where kudos are due. Transportation Economic Corridors worked with us really well to say, hey, as long as you're gonna do it, we really don't care when it gets done, but it needs to get done. And so if you wanna delay it till spring, delay it till spring. That was really nice of them to work with us on that. Other than that, we did get the 1-year extension with Sturgeon County Recreation Cost Share done up, and we have done council amendments to land use bylaw. So those all got sorted out, but we will have some more land use bylaw amendments coming up, and I will be talking about those in our closed session as well.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Van Buell? Not seeing anything. I'll look for a motion to accept his report. Councilor Cosby, thank you. Discussion? Call the question. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you for that, Mr. Van Buell. 13.1, general correspondence. We have a correspondence from the provincial government, municipal affairs regarding the community partnership program launch. There are deadlines for each of these programs. We may need the assistance of some of them down the road here shortly, but that'll be something that the new council can determine. But the program is in effect, so therefore we do have some guidelines with respect to how to approach the applications for that. We have invitation for tomorrow evening, afternoon evening, 5 o'clock till usually about 8. The Alberta Industrial Heartlands subgroup, Life in the Heartland, is presenting their annual You Live in the Heartland, this is what you can expect from our industries and our businesses and what have you. It's free to attend. They usually have some pretty good nibbles. So I would encourage any on council who wish to attend to show up at Pembina Place tomorrow evening. And then there's also a correspondence from the National Defense regarding National Veterans Week speakers. I'm suggesting if we could we get this over to the library to see if they might be interested in one of those programs? And I know that our Legion connection usually invites, is it One Signal? Yes. To our Remembrance Day ceremony, so we do have access to active members of the Armed Forces at our Remembrance Day program, but we also have a commentary with respect to the veterans in our community. So I had a privilege 10 days ago of writing a congratulatory letter to, I'll call him a young man because I'm sure he's younger than I am, who was retiring from the military after 15 years and is a resident of our community. And they have a program when military members retire, that they contact the communities they live in and ask for a letter commending the member for their service and what have you. So I had the privilege of writing that letter 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, thanking this gentleman for his service and for being a Redwatertonian. So I'll look for a motion from council to accept the general correspondence. Councillor Butcher, thank you very much. We have some with action. Cup W has sent us a, oh, yeah, I guess all in favor. Sorry. We got a motion. I did pretty good with that.
Hell on his last day.
So the Canadian Union of Postal Workers has requested a resolution from us with respect to the job action involving the federal government and Canada Post. They're asking for a resolution of council to mandate a review, to force the mandate of the postal review to include certain things and not to be formatted until such time as other things have come about. In particular, they're asking that until the full effect of the January 1st, 2025 stamp rate increase is felt, and when parcel volumes reflect sectoral demand, etc., which to me sounds like it could be somewhere down the road. It's there. There's a request for a motion of council, but I'm opening the floor for discussion. Go ahead, Councillor
I'll
Olsen.
make the motion that we do participate and make the motion as requested by Cup W.
Okay. Discussion, go ahead.
Reading this over, it does sound like it could, well, anything, we don't know what's going on with the federal government, but it could, in fact, involve us as far as losing our post office. They could be shutting that down and just deliver out of the city or whatever their plan is, I guess, I don't know. So, as it says there, for the last, there be resolved that the town of Redwater make written submission and participate in the hearing, provide input with regards to the mandate from the Canada Post, so.
Okay. Other comment? I did notice one comment here in their presentation where they talk about the fact that I'd really like to find it if I could. Talks about Canada Post being a viable entity for the last number of years. And the last numbers I heard didn't suggest that Canada Post was a viable commercial entity. I can't remember what the subsidy was from the federal government to Canada Post.
From what I understand, it was $1 billion loan. And that, but from what I understand as well, watching the news and a little reading, is their business plan is not really a business plan. You know, like I get a little bit of insight from what's going on out on Ontario. They got a huge, I forget how big of a building sitting there empty. They anticipated all this parcel traffic. They got X amount of electric vehicles that have been sitting there for 2 years because they were mandated by the federal government to participate, and they're not utilizing them. So it's just a business plan that I know I wouldn't invest in it. But I've seen the business plan.
Councillor Spicer, go ahead.
Well, like even participating in here, like pass it to resolution, ask for a delay in this mandate review. I think they need to have
The mandate review.
Yeah. I do believe the government should commit to a fully transparent, public process involving input and hearings and all that. I absolutely agree with that. But yeah, I agree that times have changed and the business plan has to change, and it hasn't changed for however long the Postal Service has been in business. Yes, we should participate, but I don't know if we want to agree to all what they want us to do.
Anything else from council? I wonder too on some of them about, when they talk about fresh food delivery and touching base with seniors to making sure they're well, and I just don't know exactly what the request is, because it's pretty
Vague.
broad. Pretty broad.
As my resolution reads, I don't know how she typed it, but just that we should put a letter forward requesting to be involved in the public hearings, or what else, I can't remember the other word. Public hearings and
Corporate review.
yeah, and part of the corporate review. We're a town with a post office, right? So, and it's I don't know, what is there, like 1,200 boxes in there? We serve a fair area, right? So,
Well, and it does employ some people here and that, but
Yeah.
at the same time, we have to, has to be some kind of study of what impact that's actually going to be on our community, and we don't have that. So how can you make any decisions if that's good or bad, or
yeah.
if there's a better way, or I don't know.
When I look at the resolution that was sent forward as an attachment, there's an awful lot of rural and urban combination, because they keep talking about the mailbox conversion plan. And I would hazard a guess that keeping all of the mailboxes in one building might be a lot smarter than trying to spread them out through the community and have somebody drive around and around to fill them up every day. But I don't know enough about that process, like you say, Councillor Spicer, what is good, what isn't good. So, Miranda, could you give us an actual wording on that?
I'm working on it.
Oh,
He's working on it.
Tim's working. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, I worry for our community. I'm not driving to Fort Saskatchewan to get my mail, but at the same time, I wonder how it's going to affect our residents and the employees of the post office. I know they do fundraising. They have what do you call it?
They have their barbecue in the spring, I think it is.
Yeah, but they've got book sales and
Yeah.
plant sales and everything in the lobby for raising money for the Canada Post something. It's a grant program and what have you. So would we lose that capability if we have municipal mailboxes? Does that whole grant program disappear across the board because there isn't a post office to have that at? So there's so many unknowns. Mr. Van Buell, you look like you just put a period on the end of your sentence.
I got it. But you tell me if I'm on the right track. So, put words into Councillor Olson's mouth. The council sent a letter to the federal government asking them to commit to a transparent public review of Canada Post in all regions of Canada, and that council commit to full participation in any review.
It's pretty well what I said.
Does that fit for everybody's feelings?
Yeah.
And I think it's important for something like that, because I think it tells our local residents who do work at the post office that we are supportive of them. We do understand that this is probably weighing very heavy on their shoulders on a daily basis too. So we'll do what we can and try our best,
It
but
was a complete drop. Like, they knew nothing about it, and then the federal government announced it, and that's why they walked out.
yeah.
They didn't have a clue this was coming down the pipe.
And I'm assuming on your motion, Councillor Olson, that you will include the copies of the letter to Jan Simpson and Rebecca Bly from FCM and Canada Union of Postal Workers
as well as our member of parliament.
and our MP. Thank you. Call that question. All in favor? And that's carried. Looks like 14.1 is a motion to move to closed session with a short adjournment beforehand, or at the same
I'll
time.
make that motion, to move into closed session.
So a motion to move to closed session and a 10-minute adjournment, or recess, sorry, 10-minute recess. Call that question. All in favor? And that's carried.
So you say adjournment, Joe's gone.
I'm not saying nothing. I'm not saying.
Oh, and it's 8-6 for the Yankees.
Thank you. Councillor Spicer, you have a motion?
Motion to come out of closed session?
Any discussion? Call that question. All in favor? Councillor Cosby,
I'll move that administration refund $4,785.69 in tax penalties assessed on July 1st, 2025 for tax roll 00105398.
thank you. Discussion? Not seeing any. I'll call that question. All in favor? Any opposition? That motion is defeated. Tax roll 007103352. Nolik?
I'll move for motion number 1, move that administration refund $611.77 in tax penalties assessed on July 1st, 2025 for tax roll 007103352.
Thank you. Discussion by council? Not seeing any. I'll call that question. All in favor? Any opposition? And that's defeated. Roll number 009885510. Councillor Williams.
I'll make motion number 2, move that administration refund $241.41 in tax penalties assessed on July 1st, 2025 for tax roll 009885510.
Thank you. Discussion? Not seeing any. I'll call that question. All in favor? Sorry. Any opposition? Have it. My mistake. I apologize for that. My motion was to, or my vote was to defeat. Just before this being our last regular council meeting, thank you again, council, for all your deliberations and your attention, and it's greatly appreciated.
Motion to adjourn, your worship.
Thank you, Councillor Cosby. Discussion? Not seeing any. I'll call that question. All in favor?
She doesn't like to see a fight. No blood, no guts.